Is this shutter speed double your frame rate rule overrated? Like, can I just destroy my shutter speed to make sure I get the right exposure in my life and that's good enough? I have the Freewell limited edition 16-pack ND filters that Freewell sent me. We're gonna slap these on and go through some use cases where I'll show you when you need to use filters. Any type of filter problem you have, I can assure you the filter is in this pack somewhere. If we can get the pack open. There we go. Let's get some ASMR. That was it. This has got every single filter ever made by man, I swear. It's got an ND16, ND32. Now you might want to be saying, well, why doesn't it start with an ND8 or an ND4? Why does it jump straight to 16? Because the aperture on this camera is f1.7. That means it's really wide open. It means it's going to let a lot of light in. And so ND4, ND8 might not make much of a difference on a camera like this. So it starts with a very strong 16 and then goes to 32, then 64, 128, then 256. And then it is 512, then ND1000. And then it's got a UV filter, a light polarizing filter. Wow. A CPL filter, ND128PL, ND16PL, ND256PL. An ND32PL. Let's go with an ND64. All you do is hold the camera steady on the gimbal and then you give it a little twist, bada bing, and remove it off. So let's pull the ND64 out. Try not to get your fingerprints on the glass. And let's put the old filter in. Let's see if it fits and if it closes. Yes. And the same way you took the other one off, the same way you put the new one back on. We got some nice dark glass over here. All right, I've got my 360 obstacle avoidance turned on. So I'm going to set my shutter speed to 1/60. Why 1/60? Because I'm shooting in 4K 30, as you can see. So if I come over here, my shutter should be double my frame rate. So 4K 30, my shutter should be 60, or in this case 1/60. All right, and I have my ISO on auto, so it can pump up the ISO or bring it down depending on if I go in bright or dark areas. I don't intend on going somewhere too dark, so my ISO should not reach like 1000 or 800. It should hover anywhere between 1 and 400, which is fine for shooting D-Log if you've ever shot D-Log before, right? Now, how will I do this today? I will put this in spotlight mode and spotlight the car. I will come down a little bit so that way I can keep my eye on the car. I can get close to the car. There we go. And now I can fly the drone, let the sensors do its thing while the car moves slowly. Now that we got some footage with the filter, I'm taking the filter off. I'm going without ND filters, and we're going to drive the same path, film the same way, and see what's the difference. I'm back up in the air with the same settings, but look at this image, right? Now I know what you're thinking. Just put it on auto and it'll fix itself. Really? Will it fix itself? Like, is it fixing or is it adjusting to accommodate? So let me show you again. We're shooting 4K 30, as you can see on my screen, and that means that my shutter should be double 30 is 60. It should be 1/60, and it's at 1/60, but the image is just blown out. So when you go in auto or you set your camera to auto, look, I'll change the shutter to auto. I'll leave the ISO at 100. My shutter jumps to 1/2500. So we went from 60 to 2500. Why did the camera do that? Right, that's the only way you can gain the proper exposure, is to increase the shutter speed. Let's test it out. So I will draw a box around the car. I will hit record, which I can't. Wow, just passed the post there. Did you see it? Here we are. This is D-Log. Of course, I color graded both shots, the one with the filters and without the filters. And this is with the ND filter on. Everything looks good. The motion looks good. The car looks like it's in motion, looks smooth, looks great. Now, as the car gets close and we pause the video, you'll notice that there is blur on the rims. These rims are blurry. They're not sharp and clean and crispy. They are blurry. Pause it at any time. Look at it here. It's even more blurry over here. And it's that motion blur, get it? That motion blur that we get from setting our shutter at double our frame rate. So in this case, I was shooting 4K 30. My shutter was 60, or in this case, 1/60. That's double 30, 60. And that's what gives me that blur. Somebody looking at this photo will automatically know in their brain, whether they realize or not, that this car is in motion and this car is driving. Like, it just tells the brain that because of the motion blur. Now, this is the video with no ND filter, and my shutter was compensating. So instead of 4K 30, instead of my shutter being 1/60, my shutter is compensating for no ND filter and goes all the way to 1/1200. And that means that it's shooting rapidly. That shutter is opening and closing. So with that rapid motion or opening and closing of the shutter, you'll get a really sharp image. So look at the car. Look at the wheels on this car. They are sharp. This looks like a really sharp, crisp image. If I were to take a screen grab from this video, people might know that the car's moving because there's somebody in the car and the way the car's positioned, but it doesn't look like it's moving. It looks like the car is just parked there or sitting there because the wheels are not in motion. Look at the wheels. The wheels just look very choppy. And if you look at the front lights over here and the rear lights, you will see that it's flickering. And it's flickering because it's refreshing. The refresh rate on that shutter is so fast that it's picking up the blinking in the lights. Now, if this was a client job and you were doing this for a client, that would be really bad because they definitely, for two reasons, would not take this. The flickering lights would be a deal breaker. And number two, the flickering rims instead of moving rims would be another deal breaker. Now you can see the motion here on the left, very natural, very smooth. Look at this, very jarring, very flickering, very distracting. Lights are flickering here in the front, and the rear here is just nice, smooth image. You stop this video at any point, look at the rims. They are in motion, and this one is frozen in time. Will you be using ND filters from now? Do you think it's worth it? Or you're just a casual flyer, you really don't care, you don't pick up on all these things, they don't mean anything to you? Or are you trying to up your game? This stuff might be important, you'd really like to learn and develop and hone in on your craft? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I also went out at night, and typically when you're flying at night, you do not want any sort of ND filters. No ND PL filters, none of that sort. It's dark, you need as much light to enter that camera, and as a result, when you're filming video, you do not want any filter on. However, when you're shooting long exposure photography, you might want a filter on, an ND filter, depending on how long you want that exposure to be. I have the DJI Mini 4 set to an 8-second shutter. That means that shutter stays open for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, capturing as much data and motion and light as possible to create a long exposure image. Even with my ISO at the bottom here at 100, you can still see I'm overexposed by +3. That's what you get. Now you're probably saying, hey, you don't have to shoot 8 seconds to get long exposure. No, but if you want really long streaks, yes, you're gonna have to open that shutter for 8 seconds. This drone has a fixed aperture. You cannot adjust it to open and close to let more light or to block light from coming in. It's not like this drone where the main camera has an adjustable aperture that opens and closes to block the light, and as a result you'll probably get away with shooting up to 5 or 6 seconds long exposure shots without needing a filter for this, because you can block the light that's going in naturally. But Mini 4, Mini 3 and these types of drones do not have an adjustable aperture. So here at ISO 100, 2-second shutter, I'm still overexposed by plus 1.3. My sweet spot for taking long exposure photos is around 1.6 or 2 seconds on the shutter, which is what this is set to right now. And if you look over here, it's just a bunch of blur. It just doesn't look good over here. Here's starting to look good, starting to look nice, but over here it's just too much light, too much overexposed. It just doesn't look good. Even at 1 second, I snapped a picture. I went back to view the shot. 1 second didn't look too bad. I still got some decent streaks. And I was able to keep the exposure down. Here still looks a little too over bright and bad here, but not too bad. So you can get away without having an ND filter. Now here I came back, I landed, I put on an ND16 filter, and I went up, and you can see immediately I have the shutter set at 2 seconds and ISO at 100, and still it's at -7. It is underexposed. It's not bad, but the image is very dark, but not overexposed. Look here, nice and smooth. You can see the car lights coming around the bend. Now I can take an image like this that's dark, brighten it up, and get exactly what I'm looking for. But for me, these streaks are just not long enough. I need longer streaks in my life. So here I'm jumping to a 4-second shutter. I will hold the shutter open for 4 seconds. Snap the shot. Obviously it's going to take 4 seconds. Here we go. We're looking back at the clip, and look at that. Look at the length of those streaks. Can you imagine editing that and brightening it up? What it would look like? Oh my gosh, look at these streaks going all around the curve nicely, not overexposed at all. Beautiful, long, luscious streaks. So you learned a little trick today. You want some long exposure in your life? Drop an ND filter on your Mini 4. And guess what? That 8-second shutter actually gave me a 0 exposure. It's telling me, the camera's telling me it's perfectly exposed at 0.0 with an 8-second shutter. Oh my gosh. Now that's super long. You can shoot it. You don't have to worry about it being overexposed. And then you can turn around and edit this shot and really get a lot out of it. It's better to take a dark shot and brighten it up, because there's a lot of details captured in the dark areas, as opposed to taking a shot that's too bright, that's just destroyed, because you will destroy the highlights. And then when you try to darken that shot, it's just, you would have lost the shot. With all that being said, if your Mini 4 Pro is your main squeeze, then I definitely suggest you get this entire pack, especially if you plan on pulling the most out of the camera. There pretty much isn't any circumstance that will face you that this pack does not have an answer for. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see me use the PL filters and show you how to use the H and the V settings. So this pack is the real deal. It has all the answers for all the situations. If you're doing professional work, you definitely want to get yourself a pack like this so that you don't disappoint your clients or have to end up reshooting things. If you're not a professional, but you want to learn how to do professional work, or you just want to get better at what you're doing, I strongly suggest get this pack of filters. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it brought you some value. Let me know in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a huge thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. And if you need LUTs for your drone footage, check the description section and the comment section. I'll leave a link to my drone LUTs, or head over to droneXfactor.com. My LUTs are there. You can pick them up for your drone footage as well. Your Mini 4, your Mavic 3 Pro, whatever drone that you own. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It brought you value, and I will catch you guys, well, whenever I can.